Thank you so much for joining. This is Tarot in White Oracle, where we get into the cloud. This is our learning center. This is going to be all about the major arcana. We do have a playlist 1 through 4 with our minor arcana, which you can currently find on our channel. We are compiling our major arcana as well, and we'll be putting that into a playlist. And there will be other playlists with similar themes or topics as well in the Learning Center for anyone who's curious or would like to learn more. So we're going to go ahead and dive into it. This is all about the pairings. I know a lot of people have wondered, can you pair them up? Do they even match? And when you start pairing them up, it's like, I don't know, this one doesn't fit, this one stands out, how do we match this? So for me, I have found a pairing that works well for me. And the way that I pair them up have to do with masculine and feminine energies bridging together. That's the one quality. Another quality is, of course, external and internal themes that go together, an external card and an internal card. And the third quality that I like is that they are similar themes, or the one theme is, the themes are opposite or the same. So this is how I divide them. And when I divide my cards up, I also get 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. So the top card is all of the odd numbers in order. So to me, this also makes a lot of sense numerically. Now, 0 and 10 are two cards that I pull out of the deck. I don't think that they have a pair. And the reason is because the Fool card is the character in the story. So the Fool card is in all of the events. And that's the same with the Wheel. The Wheel is also the karmic cycle that begins every event. So every lesson that the person is learning is the Wheel. And so the Wheel and the Fool, to me, travel a lot through all the events. I also don't think that they are a part of the pairings, because the Wheel is fixed energy, and so it is that Taurus, it is that Scorpio, it is that Leo. You know what I mean? So it is all of the fixed energies, and I'm missing one, Aquarius. So it's all of the fixed energies. And because it's all the fixed energies, it doesn't have a masculine or feminine energy distinct to it. It is a masculine and feminine card in and of itself, which is pretty cool, but it's the only card that's like that. All the other cards have a more distinct masculine or feminine energy. So to me, the Wheel is kind of representative of both masculine and feminine. And the Fool is, of course, Aquarius, and so it's a masculine energy. Take gender as it resonates, of course. These are just energetic energies. But so basically, I don't really see these cards as being a part of pairings. So I pull them out of the deck, and that takes our deck from 22 cards to 20. Now, I also don't think that they are 20 distinct energies. In my opinion, or my belief, I think that the 20 energies are actually 10 energies. And if you've watched the previous videos with the minor arcana, I do dive into the Tree of Life, which I will be doing with the major arcana as well later, and then combining both minor and major on a Tree of Life on a later video. But if you are familiar with those videos, and if not, I encourage you to go back and watch the first playlist on minor arcana before diving in here. Then you know that there are 4 worlds. We've got our emanation world on top, we've got our creation world, which is our second world, we've got our third world, which is formation, and then we've got our fourth world, which is manifestation. And that's where our natural world is, science is, and science and our perceptions also go into the third world, or the formation world. But the information starts to break down a lot when we reach the second world of creation, because of course it has a lot to do with your emotions, which we understand a lot more now, but it also dives into your intuition and your telepathy and your dreams, and consciousness versus unconsciousness, subconscious, and diving just a lot deeper into all those psychic things as well. And then as we get to our first world, or emanation, of course, that's everything to do with the soul and the spirit and divine intuition, and of course, to a higher level of clairvoyance and claircognizance and all your clairs. So because we have those different levels, because we have all those levels, what looks like 20 energies on the fourth world or fourth level, which is our heaviest realm, it looks like 20 distinct energies. But in my opinion, as you go up the ladder and you're at like the second level or the second world, those 20 become 10. And then when you reach the first world or the first level, which is emanation, the 10 become 1. And so as we descended down Jacob's ladder, or down the thickness of energy, the energy itself went from 1 to 10 to 20. And it's 20, I think, in the third world and the fourth world, or the third level of energy and the fourth level. But it starts to thin out as you get higher up. So how do I then break up the pairs, and why do I pair them like this? So in my view, the masculine and feminine energy are actually one energy, and they've been divided or split into two. And so that's why in the third and fourth realm, which is where we live, mostly in the third and fourth, but most of the time in the fourth, but we're also a lot of the time in our mind, and so because of that, we view things as dualistic. We view things as masculine and feminine, and everything is a duality. But as you get higher up in the realms, and you're now in the second world but higher up, the 20 become 10. And the feminine and masculine energies start to blend, which is why you start to have in the higher level of the second realm, which is creation and the cups, the water, the emotion, which is why when you are more integrated and aligned in that area, you can start to have telepathy and your clairvoyancies, your claircognizance. You might be in touch with your past life, having dreams of your past life, because your energies that were once dualistic and occupying different spaces are now blending back to its true form, which is combined together. And as you get even higher and you rise out of the second world into the first world, into emanation, those 10 energies become even closer, and they become one. And so the higher up you go, the less division of space you have, the less division of time and space, and everything goes back to a singularity or a oneness. It's just that we live here on Earth, and so everything is really thick and heavy, and everything feels like it has separate space and separate time. So having said that, I actually believe that the Arcana represent one energy. All that to say, they represent one energy. But to us, visually, we see 22 different cards and we don't know how to make sense of it. So for me, I pulled 2 out, they're 20, and those 20 energies are actually reduced to 10 because they're masculine and feminine, external, internal energies. So how do I divide them up? Firstly, I think that it goes from a 1 to 3, 5, 7, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19 pattern. I think all the odd numbers are what, and then you match the quality underneath that. So for me, the Magician and the High Priestess are your obvious pair. It's your divine masculine, your divine feminine. They both have what's above, what's below. They're both connected to what's above and below. They're both very spiritually in tuned and able to manifest. They just manifest in different ways, because your masculine energy manifests things more usually in a more external or action oriented sense. The feminine energy manifests things more in the emotional sector, the talking, the communication. You know, she's the conduit, the channel, he's the doer. So they're both manifesting, they're just manifesting in different ways. So then when we look at the Empress and Emperor, those are an obvious pair as well. And it's the feminine and masculine energy, and the first is the masculine and feminine energy as well. But of course, the masculine is very much the doer, the ruler, the authority, and the feminine is more like the nurturer. She's more into her emotional area. So then we get to Hierophant and Lovers. Now, the reason I pair these is because they both have to do with making a strong commitment to something, making a choice about something. This is about a choice in love, love over fear. This is about a commitment to your spiritual life, like the church, the temple, the guru, the priests. But it's also commitments in marriage. Your choices and your choices are your commitments. So choice and commitment are very much the same. And they both represent a sense of true love and also a sense of connecting to the higher source, the higher realm, because they both are what is on your soul's path. So these two cards to me are paired. They're very similar in that energy. And of course we do have, this is the masculine form of the energy, and this is the feminine form of the energy, and this is a choice as an external process. You're making a choice. You're pulling something closer to you. Whereas when you're making a commitment to something, it's more of an internal process. So then I move to Chariot and Temperance. And the reason I pair these is because the Chariot is, you can see you've got, do I go this direction or this direction? It's a white horse or a black horse. It's left or it's right. And with Temperance, it's a similar thing. You know, it's the balancing of these two moons or these two cups or these two energies. The balancing of the mind with the emotion, the balancing of nature with spirit, the balancing of love and pushing fear out and finding that internal alignment. So this is all about that balance, but it's internal. And this is all about finding your balance externally in the external world. And of course, in this set though, the feminine energy is external and the masculine energy is internal. So in most cases, it's reversed, but in some cases you will see the masculine having the internal energy. In my opinion, this is a Cancer, of course, because it's cardinal water and it's transformative, but I also think it has a hint of Sag in the background. And that just has to do with my understanding of the Egyptian hieroglyphs, and also because there is a spiritual, action-oriented energy to the card as well. But you can review my Egyptian videos and learn more about that in other videos to come in playlists. So this is why I put this together. And of course, it's external and internal, feminine, masculine. And it's both a sense of trying to balance something in the internal or external world. Of course, this card also has to do with movement. Of course, you're moving, but you're moving toward what your soul's path is. That's ideally what you're doing. And when we look at this card, you're also moving things internally to balance yourself out. It's just a different kind of movement. So when we get to the Hermit, I pair the Hermit and Judgment together. And of course, this is Virgo, so it's feminine. And a lot of people associate this with Scorpio, which I do think it is. But I think, firstly, it's Sagittarius, because this card is about dying and being reborn. It's about going through the fire and then coming out the other end fresh. And so there's a process of going through fire and then going through water. I also see that in the Egyptian glyphs, which I'm not going to get into now, but I do think this has a strong sense of fire and water together. And so I don't think it's just Scorpio. I think the first process is fire, which is Sag, because you're going through a process where you're changing, you're mutable, but you're also connected spiritually. So that's why I feel it's Sag and then Scorpio. So this is a masculine and then feminine energy, and this is a feminine. And of course, both of these are internal, but this one has more to do with by yourself And this one has to do with more with God. However, of course, you're also connecting to source here. But a lot of times in hermit mode, you kind of feel alone. Whereas with judgment, you kind of feel like your spirit is awakening and you're connecting to source and you're not alone anymore. So there's that sense that's a little bit different for me. But I feel these two pair because they both have a similar feeling of growing, evolving spiritually. It's just in a different way. And then, of course, Justice and the Hangman. And you're saying, huh? So for me, of course, Justice is Libra. That's going to be masculine. And the Hangman is Pisces, and this is water, feminine. But this is an external energy. It's about that balance in your external world. And this is an internal process, so it's an internal balance within. So what theme is connecting them, though? In the external world, you're trying to find fairness. The balance of justice needs to be served. And internally, when you decide to stop resisting God and resisting the universe and source and whatever you want to call the name of the higher power, and you accept, you let go and you let God. And when you do that, you are now deciding that I'm not going to say things aren't fair anymore and be angry about this and resist. I'm just going to accept that the universe or God knows what's going on, and I'm going to trust the process and trust that fairness will be found. And this is why you can go into your Hangman mode, because you're not giving up. You're just giving it up to God. You're not saying, well, I don't want to be a part of life anymore. You're just saying, I accept the ebbs and the flows now. And so you're finding a sense of justice in everything that has happened in life and with the higher realm, you know, because a lot of times we might curse the higher realm. Oh my goodness, this is so unfair. And so this is an internal sense of fairness. You're saying, I'm no longer going to be the judge on what's fair or not, because I can't see the big picture. So I'm coming to an internal balance of what's fair. And this is an external fairness with the courts and the judges, of course. And so this is why, to me, they go together. And then we have rebirth and the Tower. And death and rebirth is our Scorpio energy. And I mean, one could argue that it is more of a Pisces energy, but, you know, Scorpio or Pisces, however you want to look at it. And the Tower is, a lot of people consider this Scorpio. I consider this Aries, first and foremost, with really a hint of Sag, or also a hint of maybe Pisces. I don't really see this card as Scorpio myself. Although water does provide a lot of transformations, to me, when water is transformative, it usually always has to do with your choice. And like death and rebirth, the Hangman and judgment, those are your choices. So I don't really associate Scorpio's water with this because it's just so gentle. It's just so still. And this is like bam. So to me, this is more Aries, a little Sag, a little Pisces. But to each his own. So this to me is a feminine energy, and this to me is a masculine energy. This is external because the universe is deciding for you that you need to change, because you're not changing your life and you're not changing the things that you need to be on the path that's best for you. And this is a feminine energy because you are internally making that decision. Something outside isn't making that decision. You are. You're leaving that job. You're leaving that relationship. You're deciding to heal. And so it's an internal process. And that's why they go together thematically. And then when we dive into our Devil energy, of course, this is Capricorn. So this is everything to do with the feminine energy. And I pair this with Strength, which is Leo, masculine. And this is, of course, external energy, and it's feminine. And then this is internal, masculine. And so I find these pair very well because this is everything that you are doing when you're not authentic, when you're not your true self. You're not aligned, and so you're turning to money, temptations, lust, greed, all that good stuff because you're trying to fill yourself up, because you're not being true to yourself. You're not tapped into your own true alignment. When you are tapped into your true alignment, you're the strength card. The strength is you overcoming your devil energies. And so you're true to yourself. You have the courage to be you. You have the strength. You are no longer turning to other things to fill a void because you found it, what you need. And so that's why I pair these together. And almost toward the end, we do have the Star and the World card. I pair these together because they both are about divine timing. They're both about being on your divine path. And you're completing a cycle, and it's at right time, and this is also on your path in the right time. And this is an Aquarius masculine energy, and this is a feminine all earth signs energy. I do think that this is more of an internal process because you've been doing the work karmically, and so your karmic cycle is done. I think this is more of an external process because the fates and destiny are intervening and taking you to your destined course. And so there's an external force. And so lastly, we do come to the Sun and the Moon. And our Sun card is our masculine card, and our Moon card is our feminine energy. And I do think that the Sun is external because it's about your conscious mind, the things you can see with your eyes, the things you're aware of. And of course, the Moon is feminine, and it's an internal. They're the things you don't see. They're the things that are hidden. It's your subconscious. So this is how I pair them. And yeah, so when you do that, now you don't have 20 energies, you have 10 energies. And now we are closer into the second world, the creation world. And these energies are now 10 instead of 20. And of course, as we go higher and higher, so each theme is a certain theme, right? This is a theme about endings and beginnings, changes in your life. This is a theme about what's above and below, tapped into that. This is a theme about fairness. This is a theme about rulerships. And this is a theme about your authentic self. This is a theme about divine timing, fate, completions. And this is all about your commitments and choices. This, of course, is about your internal processes to become more spiritually awakened and aligned. And this is, of course, movement to get you in a direction that you need to go to be aligned and on your path. And of course, the theme here has to do with your own conscious and subconscious mind and emotions and clarity around those things, or so this has to do with your own emotional and mind states. So of course, these are now then 10 energies in the second world. And as we get to the first world, they combine and become one energy. And the emanation process then becomes thicker and thicker and thicker as they fall to the fourth world. So this is how I see the pairings and why. And I really hope that you enjoyed this lesson and it gives you a little bit more depth into the Arcana. And thank you so much. Blessings. I'll see you for the next video.